Good evening and welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, July 6th, 2017. I'm Keith Tebow. Tonight we introduce you to Dr. Laura Douglas, the new president of Bristol Community College. We give you an in-depth overview of the students of the Stone School who will be moving to a newly renovated location come fall. And we provide details about a Preserving the Past time capsule buried here in Fall River. But first, let's discuss the news headlines of the week. Fresh off a week vacation and a 4th of July holiday, we welcome back Will Richmond, the digital news editor from the Herald News. Will, welcome back. How was your vacation and holiday?
It was very good, Keith. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for joining us again. We're soon to be in the dog days of summer, and in an odd year, being 2017, it is a Fall River City election year. And more candidates or potential candidates are securing their nomination papers from the election office in downtown Fall River. It got off to a pretty slow start, but it looks like it's picking up, and there's an outside chance we will have a preliminary election in possibly all three elections coming up this fall: mayor, school committee, and city council. Give us a little update on what's been happening.
Sure. I think maybe the biggest name that people will recognize and remember to come out now is former city councilor Leo Pelletier, who actually is the longest serving city councilor in the city's history, has taken out papers to run for city council once again. So I think maybe the prospect of two open seats with Linda Pereira and Richard Cavaceres both declaring their intentions to run for mayor is kind of pushing some more interest towards the city council side. And then fortunately, there's also been a number of candidates to declare their interest in the school committee race as well. That one was a little slow moving to form. So it's good to know that, people are looking to run for school committee after such a delay.
You know, it's interesting. We always say, and this is something that we all get caught up into. You mentioned that there's going to be two open seats in the city council. That's assuming that the incumbent city councilors, one, all take out papers, and two, get reelected. But actually, as we know, there are 9 open seats. There are 6 seats in the school committee, and of course the seat for mayor. School committee is going to be very interesting this year, as we now know that 3 of the incumbents have chosen not to run. Gabriel Andrade, Edward Coster, and Melissa Panchley have all decided that they're not going to run for re-election this year. So there will be at least 3 new faces on the school committee. And I guess that's probably what generated a lot of the recent interest. I know Mrs. Panchley just announced she had mentioned that she'd been thinking about it for a while, not running, but officially decided not to run a short time ago. So do you think that's the main reason why a lot more people are coming out for school committee?
Yeah, I think that certainly in terms of some of those who weren't running for re-election on the school committee, I think some were hopeful that they could talk some other people into running as well. Mm-hmm. I believe at this point that school committee vice chairman, Mark Costa, has yet to take out papers himself. Right. So that could even create another spot for a new face. But there are some interesting names that are starting to show up. Tom Corey, a former guidance counselor and the head of the Peaceful Coalition over at Durfee, has pulled papers. Amy Blanchette, who has been an advocate over at BCC for students there, has taken out papers. So, there are certainly some more interesting names that are starting to fill out that field and helping to fill those seats. It's been one of the sort of less filled ballot spots in recent years. There hasn't been a lot of interest in school committee positions, so it's good news to see a lot of people coming out to run.
So as of right now, we have, I believe, in terms of the individuals who've taken out papers, again, they're not official candidates yet. They need to file their papers, get the signatures certified, and then they'll be ready to be placed on the ballot. But as of right now, in terms of the number of candidates who have taken out papers, I believe we're up to 11 for school committee. How many for city council do we have thus far? 15, I believe?
I'm not sure of the total count at this point. We haven't done a full update for this week that would include Leo's and anyone else that may have come out. But I would say we're at least up into the teens for city council at this point.
And of course, 8 people have indicated their potential interest in running for mayor. So right now, it looks pretty firm that we'll have a preliminary election in the race for mayor, as all you need is a minimum of 3 candidates who are certified to run. And we will probably have that with the 2 city councilors running, Richard Cabaceres, Linda Pereira, and of course Mayor Correa already taking out papers. We need at least 19 candidates for city council for there to be a preliminary, as 18 will make it to the general election. And we need at least 13 school committee members. So if you had to guess, do you think we'll get those numbers for the other 2 races?
I would think so. I think we're pretty close on both sides. City Council has had preliminaries in the last couple of years, and certainly those the potential for those unchallenged seats at least could spur more interest as well. The deadline, although it seems like it's been taking forever,
I know.
The deadline is 2 weeks from tomorrow, being Friday. So with the July 21st deadline to pull papers, and then the 25th is the deadline to return signatures. We are getting close finally at this point.
Absolutely. Okay, and it's going to be something that will dominate our conversation, I'm sure, as we get through the later summer months and, of course, in the fall. One other item of note that I want to bring up with our discussion with you today, Will, is FROED. FROED has been in the news for a good part of, early part of 2017 with the, I guess, battle it's having over its existence with Mayor Jaziel Correa. Well, this week, FROED officially moved out of, or is in the process of moving out of Government Center to its new home at the Cherry and Webb building downtown. They'd been in Government Center for nearly 40 years, and looks like this is going to be the clean break that Mayor Correa, of course, had wanted, evicting them, if you will, from Government Center, and now FROED moving on with their new digs at the Cherry and Webb building.
Yeah, certainly it's a sort of the start of a new era for FROED. They began their move this week, and they'll be moving into that space on the Cherry and Webb building. It comes as well, I believe that they've been confirmed that they are not going to receive the funding from the community development agency that they've received in the past. So that's going to mean a couple of position cuts in that office as well. So certainly we'll see going forward how this changes the dynamics of economic development in the city. We are still awaiting a new mayoral administration-led economic development plan to be announced, which is expected in the next couple of weeks based on comments from the mayor's office. So we'll see if there'll be a holding period on economic development for this short time frame, or if so there'll be some continued action going forward in the short term.
Now, the current space that FROED has occupied at Government Center, would this be maybe the new home for that city-led economic development team?
I think at this point it's probably too soon to say. It would certainly make sense that it would go in there. But given the staffing sizes that the mayor has mentioned in previous economic development plans, it may be a larger office space than what's needed for that kind of department, but I'm not sure where else you would put them in Government Center either at the moment. So I think that's something we'll have to wait and see.
All right, Will, what's coming up at the Herald over the next few days? Sure,
we're going to continue our jobs project here, and as we take a look at the city's largest workforce, the health industry, as well as talking to people to see if there's any concerns about the city being too centered in any one area and unable to sort of come out of an economic downturn, much like the problems faced as the textile industry kind of collapsed in the previous decade.
Sounds good, Will. Okay, we'll talk again soon. Take care.
All right, have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Fall River Career Center. Administrative Assistant, Landings Real Estate Group, located at 4980 North Main Street, is seeking a full-time administrative assistant to assist the leasing team and managers with all administrative tasks. Job number 9221301. Baker, Honeydew Donuts, located at 118 Plymouth Avenue, is in need of a part-time, reliable baker to bake overnight and deliver product to stores. Must have experience baking and a valid driver's license. Job number 921-7456. Dental anesthesiologist. Cool Smiles, located at 933 Pleasant Street, is looking for a part-time dental anesthesiologist to partner with a pedodontist to provide patient care and support for the anesthesia program staff. Job number 922-1492. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following faculty positions. Job Specialist, job number 922-1295. Music Teacher, job number 922-1550. Grade 7 Math Teacher, job number 922-1458. Vision Resource Teacher, job number 922-1186. For more information on these or other positions, visit FRCmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Bristol Community College this week is welcoming its 4th president, and we're fortunate enough to be located here at BCC, so we have the fortunate opportunity to welcome Bristol Community College's new president, Dr. Laura Douglas. Dr. Douglas, thank you for joining us. Welcome to BCC. Welcome to Fall River.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. It's a great place.
You know, we spoke earlier this year when you were appointed by the Board of Higher Trustees. It was over the phone. You were still in Iowa.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may know that you're coming from Des Moines, Iowa, a community college there. We're there for 12 years. But you have connections here in not only Massachusetts, New England, but Fall River in particular. Talk about that.
Sure. Well, I was born in Northampton, Massachusetts, and spent the first 5 or 6 years of my life in Amherst, Massachusetts. And then my parents took us out of Massachusetts for a while, and eventually, a few years later, wound up in northeastern Connecticut. But actually, my grandfather was born, raised, and educated here in Fall River, and graduated from what was at that time the technical high school. His parents had come over from Ireland. His dad worked in the cotton mills, repairing looms, and once my grandmother was finished having children, she actually worked on the looms in the cotton mills. So when I drive by those big, I think they're granite cotton mills, there's a little bit of nostalgia as I look at them, thinking that those were the same structures that were here when my great-grandparents were here. And I've been able to see the locations where my grandfather lived. He lived on Carver Street and then later Buffington Street. And after he graduated high school, he went to the Boston area for a while, but then also came back to Fall River many times and actually lived here with his family later on in life. So his connections are very strong. I understand, though, that when things became a little bit more challenging with the mills, the family moved then to Quincy, and that's where the family worked in the shipyards.
Right.
So that's kind of a little bit of a background on my family and my connection to Massachusetts.
Right. And your family's still located in New England.
In New
so
England,
that's another.
yes.
That's a reason why you wanted to come back home. In some
Right.
respects.
Just in the northeastern corner of Connecticut. So
Right.
a really quick trip from here to there.
So you've literally been here for days. Literally days.
Yes.
What attracted you to BCC?
Well, many different things. One thing that is unique about BCC and a number of other community colleges in New England is that it is a comprehensive community college. And not every community college has that broad vision for helping people learn and get their start in life with career training, higher education, and other kinds of skills. And so because BCC has high school equivalency, dual enrollment, is working very closely with the area high schools, that's very important because it's an area where we really need to increase the number of students who are coming to college. So having that relationship was very important. Also, the English as a second language piece in helping new immigrants, I think that's really important. And then also the ability to come to the college in order to transfer and finish a 4-year degree, but just as important, to be able to finish a career technical degree and be done in 2 years and then go out into the workforce. The other piece that was very attractive is the wonderful workforce development programs that the college has, in working with manufacturing and anything that the community needs to upskill in order to fill those jobs that we need to be successful is really important. And the mid-skills gap that we have in Massachusetts, that's that gap where we have all these jobs that go unfilled because we don't have the people that have the right technical skills. That's exactly what Bristol Community College is doing, addressing that mid-skills gap. So that will really help not only strengthen the economic situation here in the southeastern region and South Coast regions, but it will also help for the entire Commonwealth. Just being here for a few days, what are your priorities? Hitting the ground running, if you will. What are your priorities? Well, first of all, I think it's so important to get to know the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. So within the college, of course, learning about all the employees, faculty, and staff, as well as the trustees, building relationships there. But also having the opportunity to begin to build relationships with all of those community leaders and community organizations, and just the families here who may not even be thinking about Bristol Community College. Having the opportunity to talk to people as a fresh face with fresh eyes and fresh ears, and what their thoughts are about the college is a great advantage that I have coming in as a new president. So I look forward to just learning as much as I possibly can so that I can see whether my assessments of the direction we need to go really are correct, or if I need to alter those thoughts a little bit too. And people in the community can actually follow you. The college is conducting what's called a BCC Connect Tour, where you'll be meeting with our constituents at the other campuses, but also with community leaders. Right. They can follow you on Twitter at BCC, at Pres BCC. Right. And also on the BCC website, bristolcc.edu/BCC Connect, to follow Dr. Douglas along as she's meeting with people throughout the summer and before the fall. Yeah. Dr. Douglas, thank you for your time. We look forward to our relationship together here at BCC, here at FRCmedia. Thank you again, and all the best.
So today we have Kaiser. Kaiser's a very young, just 1-year-old pit bull terrier. As you can tell, he's a very shy guy. We're pretty sure when he was younger, he clearly suffered some kind of trauma, whether somebody was hurting him or he got attacked by another dog, where we can't say for certain. But he's a very nice dog, but very, very skittish. So he's going to need somebody with a good amount of patience, preferably a nice quiet setting, just so that he can have some time to adjust. Hopefully slowly come out of his shell a little bit. Learn that the world is not so scary. But if you think you have the patience and the willingness to help him out, you can come on down here to 300 Linwood Street, all over Massachusetts, where Forever Paws. This is Major. He's a 5-year-old lop-ear, and he is soft as all heck. As you can tell, he's very comfortable in your arms, holding him. He's very nice. He's a little bit skittish with me, but who can blame him, right? He's in a little bit of a scary place, but that's okay. We'll find him a good home very soon. If you think that you have that home, come on down and meet him. We're at Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Massachusetts.
Welcome back. 6 months into a feasibility study, a mapping design by the architectural firm AI3 shows a rough idea of how a new BMC Durfee High School in Fall River will look if a new structure is to be built at its current location on Ellsbury Street. FRCmedia News has this update.
I'm standing in front of what will soon be known as the old BMC Durfee High School on Ellsbury Street. There are plans to construct a brand new building right on this site. I spoke with Chief Operating Officer of School Buildings and Grounds, Ken Pacheco, to get the latest update.
And of what the building could possibly look like, configuration. Still very vague, but it's called 3D mapping, and the 3D mapping shows kind of a topography look at it, heights, things like that. 3-story building is what we're looking at for most of the building, except when you get into the back sections where it'll be 1 story, for instance, for the auditorium, for a couple of the career technical areas. So those areas will be single story, but the building has a courtyards, so it's laid out so that every room has natural lighting, which is very important. It's not available at Durfee now. There are some classrooms that don't have natural lighting. So this building will have natural lighting, which is why it looks like a little bit of a square donut, holes in the middle, like all of the other schools that we've built, you know, in this since 2000, where there is natural lighting and almost mandatory natural lighting in every classroom. The 3D mapping shows that, and what it'll do is, if you look at the Ellsbury Street location, it's going to put it front and center. It's going to be very prominent on Ellsbury Street. It's a huge structure, but it'll also allow us to kind of have everything of all of our fields viewed from the building. So for instance, when people are in that building, students, visitors, they'll be able to look out at all of the fields, kind of enclosed in the back, safely enclosed in the back. It'll be, you know, baseballs not falling into the highway, into the traffic at Ellsbury Street like it does now. We won't need that netting to protect houses that we do now. The traffic pattern, we feel, is going to be much better, which is very important to that neighborhood. We're still keeping a buffer zone from all of the houses that are on the north side, which is the Langley Street side. We'll still have a buffer on the Ray Street side with all of the dead ends. The entrances that are currently used at Durfee now will be the only entrances we'll have, so we're not adding new ways in and out. But what we're doing is just having the pattern of traffic flow better within the property.
Are you losing parking spaces?
We're gaining. So we're gaining parking on the property by utilizing some areas that are not currently utilized. There's going to be some strategic parking. So if you're going to the football field, you'll be using baseball field parking, tennis court parking, parking in the general area of the football field. During baseball season, there's a parking lot next to the baseball field. So currently, everyone's using that same parking lot for everything. There'll be areas of parking close, very, very close to the fields.
At BMC Durfee High School on Ellsbury Street, I'm Donna Mata for FRC Media News.
Thanks to a Greater Fall River United Way Community Impact Grant, children and the elderly came together to create a time capsule that was buried on a city property today. Sponsored in part by the Family Service Association, the capsule contains token game pieces that represent the games that the seniors played in their youth before the onslaught of modern technology such as computers and smartphones. FRC Media News interviewed social worker Nicole Robitaille about the specifics of the Preserving the Past project.
The goal was to link seniors with students and come up with some of the games that seniors played when they were children. So the students were able to interview the adults and figure out what kind of games they played, like hopscotch, jacks, dominoes. And the students recorded this information in journals. It's going to be put into the time capsule today, and we're putting the games that the seniors talked about into the time capsule as well. So it's a great way to preserve the past.
And how did this help with the cognitive skills of the people involved?
So it was great for the seniors because they were able to engage in reminiscing, and it was great for the students because they were able to work on their interviewing skills and also their writing skills, and they were actually wrote essays that were entered into a contest for today.
The time capsule is scheduled to be unearthed in the year 2050. That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursday and Fridays at 6 p.m. and online via our website, frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Thursday.